Hey everybody, welcome back. Earlier this year, I had my first ever experience shooting 16mm film. It was one of the most exciting and nerve-wracking, panic-inducing, but rewarding experiences I've ever had with filmmaking. This is a 3-part music video short film that I did for my sister Abby, and it's out now, so you can watch it. I'll put the link in the description. Leading up to this shoot, I was doing a lot of YouTubing and searching about what should I expect going into a shoot on film, and like what are the basics, like how do I use the camera, how do I expose it, how do I basically not mess everything up. I just want to talk about how my first experience was and what you could expect on your first shoot on film. I'm not going to teach you how to shoot film because I feel like I still don't really know. First of all, I want to talk about how I got the opportunity to shoot on film, because I think that's one of the biggest roadblocks for most people, is that it's so expensive and you need the right crew and support to help you actually shoot a real project on film. It's definitely an opportunity that is hard to come by, and I'm very thankful that it ended up happening, because I had wanted to shoot on film for as long as I can remember, but the opportunity just never occurred. And I figured it would never occur. No one's gonna be like, hey, shoot on film. Hey, I trust you. I know you've never shot on film, but I want you to shoot my really important project on film. I figured that was not going to happen. But I approached Nathan Thompson from Contrast in Nashville. They're a rental house. We've had a working relationship for a while, and I approached him about this idea for this project, and he was all for it and gave us a great deal on all the rentals. So literally it would not have happened otherwise. So thank you, Nathan and Contrast. And we had 2 loaders on this project, Emily and Lydia. They helped us out so much, and again, could not have done it without them, because loading, I didn't want to be the one responsible for that side of things. So myself and my friend Elise and my sister Abby, we all kind of co-directed this project and came up with the concepts together. So early on in pre-production, I told Abby and Elise that I wanted to keep our approach to this shoot really simple and straightforward. I didn't want to do any big camera movements or visual effects. Since it was my first time shooting film, I didn't want to make it any more complicated than it needed to be. We had an animatic for the whole edit, pretty much shot for shot before we even went in. So we knew kind of exactly how long we had to roll on everything. We would have had to shoot way more film if we weren't as prepared as we were. So again, I'm not an expert on shooting film, but I did want to talk about the shoot itself for a bit and talk about some of the choices I made and why I made those choices. So I went with 200T as our stock for this one. I went with a tungsten film stock because I knew I wanted mostly cooler tones in this film. And I went with 200T instead of 500T because I had seen some tests online and it looked like 200T had a little finer grain and more resolution than 500T, and I knew I was going to have some wider shots in this film, and I wanted a bit more resolution than 500T. For the exposure, I used a light meter, and I overexposed by 1 to 2 stops. Here, let me get my light meter so you can see. This is the light meter that I use on the project. It's the Sekonic. What I would do is I would spot meter the scene, mainly looking at what I wanted to be middle gray, which was like skin tone, for example. And then I would open the iris a little bit more. So like, say it gave me a 4.5 reading, then I would open up to like a 2.8 or 2 to overexpose by 1 or 2 stops, because that's what I heard that 16mm does great overexpose. So yeah, that's the approach that I took. And actually, when I got all the footage back, I realized I probably could have even overexposed more. So it has a lot of latitude in the highlights. So another thing about shooting on film is that it's not unlimited. So when you don't have all the film in the world, you have to be really rehearsed for each take. Luckily, the SR3 has a video tap that we could send to a Ninja 5 monitor. And so what we would do was record our rehearsals on the Ninja monitor, and we would watch them back on the monitor. So we weren't actually rolling film. We were just recording what the camera was seeing, making notes and adjustments from there. And then when everybody felt ready and rehearsed, then we would actually roll on the film. I think like the most takes we ever did for something was 3. I think we would normally just do 1, sometimes 2. So yeah, I think the biggest lessons I learned shooting film for the first time was just pre-production is always important, but it's even more important when you're shooting on film. Don't add more shots than you need to. Don't spread your schedule so thin. You want to be able to spend extra time on each shot. Last thing you want to do is feel super rushed and feel like the day is getting away from you when you're also trying to learn this new way of shooting. So yeah, that was my first experience shooting film. It felt really cool how intentional you had to be with each shot, knowing that as soon as you hit that record button, like you're burning dollars. So you better be confident, and it really forced me to go with my gut on a lot of decisions, and there's no way to not be present when you're shooting on film. So it feels really cool to just be in the moment and ripping that celluloid. I was very scared going into it, but in the end, it was all worth it, and I feel much more confident now and feel like my next film shoot would be even better. So I mean, I highly recommend doing it. Again, I understand how shooting film can seem pretty like inaccessible, but whenever you do have the chance, whether it's next month or a year from now or 5 years from now, I highly recommend taking the opportunity. And even if that means saving up some of your own cash and shooting some test rolls, it's super fun to do. So if it piques your curiosity, then I would go for it. I know it's like a trendy thing right now, and you don't have to shoot on film to make a good story. This is not a you need to shoot on film video. You can if you want. If you are going to, then I hope this helped. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about my experience. Let me know if you have any other questions or want to share any advice of your own if you have shot on film and want to contribute to this conversation. Put them in the comments section. And once again, if you want to see the full project, I have it linked in the description. So check it out. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
I have to wear this outfit again tomorrow.